Welcome to a new daily top Askreddit video. Today's topic: what video games show that graphics truly aren't everything? Roller Coaster Tycoon. I want to go on something more exciting than merry-go-round 1. Just looking at your mom makes me feel sick. Dwarf Fortress. Because what it has can be barely called graphics. People really don't get what an impressive thing Dwarf Fortress is. It's a game that's been almost constantly in development since 2002, 18 years of development. It's a man's literal life work put onto the internet for all to enjoy. Which is crazy to me. It's like Sistine Chapel that you can beam into your living room. IRC he started working on the Steam/upgraded version cause he needs health insurance. Edit, just because I don't think I made this clear in my original post. Fuck for profit healthcare. Healthcare is a human right, and if you live in America I urge you to look into local/state politicians who are interested in expanding healthcare, as well as any national politicians invested in M4 for free. If I remember correctly, graphics were just announced recently which blew my mind. Edit, in the least offensive way possible, I get it. The announcement I was thinking of was for the official tileset for the Steam release. I've seen at least 3 people comment the same thing now. I appreciate being corrected though. I don't know much about Dwarf Fortress. Not recently, but yes, they are working on Steam version that would have something close to RPG Maker's graphics. If they will also make a proper UI, it will be simply fantastic. Tetris. I think this is the text of this question, and the eternal counter to the better graphics arms race. Tetris with RTX. Old school RuneScape. Sea Shanty 2 intensifies. Minecraft. Not a fan myself, but if anything does it's that one. Yes. Best-selling video game of all time with over 200 meters copies sold proves that. Isn't Tetris the best-selling game? Factorio. Finally at 1.0, only 7 years in beta. Granted, I loved every minute, well over 500 hours I think. Edit, just checked, 628.6 hours. I know it will probably go up, but I'm on a Terraria kick right now, over 700 hours there. Oregon Trail comes to mind. You have died of dysentery. Why does dysentery get all the limelight? There were like 50 different ways to die out there: cholera, typhoid, starvation, snakebite, etc. Age of Empires. Whoa lo lo. Roses are red. Whoa lo lo. Roses are blue. Faith. It showed that a horror game can still be terrifying even in 8-bit. Edit, well damn, 6 Kelvin upvotes. What I'm about to do has not been approved by the Vatican. Pure goosebumps. Mortis. The first Spokemo Mystery Dungeons, the 2 is my favorite, and the old Spokemo's games. The Mystery Dungeon DS games made me cry at the end. They were awesome, especially how the end was executed. RimWorld. Edit, join us at r/RimWorld. Amazing game. I always have to be sure I have literally nothing else going on in my day before I fire it up, because before I know it it's 3 AM and I'm playing for just one more day once again. NetHack focusing on gameplay instead of graphics, it spawned the dev team thinks of everything catchphrase in its base. I died falling down the stairs. Wield a cockatrice without wearing a helmet. You can also remove your last HP by throwing something straight up while not wearing a helmet, causing it to hit you when it lands. If you do, your cause of death is listed in the high score file as physics. Barbara is you. I didn't think anyone else would mention it. Such a novel concept, and damn does it get tricky, with Atari-grade graphics. Heroes of Might and Magic 3 and Master of Orion 2. Both very dated graphics but stand the test of time. Still very playable today, and best of all, they can run on almost any PC. Also add Civilian series to the list. Edit, I advise you all to check out /r/Heroes 3 for more HOMM3 discussions. Had to scroll way too far to find HOMM3. To anyone checking it out, make sure to get the GOG version instead of the Steam Report version. Mount and Blade, Warbad is one that comes to mind for me. High graphics or low graphics, Jeremuse is the same friend to us. Jeremuse has been knocked unconscious by Road Oak tribesmen. removed. I was really impressed with how a game with so little apparent replayability has so much replayability. The map is really very small, not even completely randomized, and somehow each match is still unique and I haven't gotten bored of it after 700 plus matches. It's because the people you play with are what makes it fun. Terraria. I could never get into Minecraft, but for some reason the first time I played Terraria, I was 100% hooked even though it looked like it belonged on a system multiple gens ago. Never really understood why, since I thought I wasn't the type to play those build everything games, but hey, I love Terraria. Because Terraria has some actual progression to it, and depth in its system, you are actually building towards something. Don't get me wrong, Minecraft is fun, but in order to get the same amount of depth and progression you have to mod the ever-living shit out of Minecraft. It's what puts me off a lot of survival crafting sandbox games, that there is no greater goal than survive. If there was more to it, I would be more invested. Stardew Valley. After I saw the first version of the graphics for Stardew Valley, my opinion on the graphics changed from neat to HFS. This game looks amazing. Stardew doesn't really belong then. Its graphics aren't sophisticated, but the game still looks brilliant. Like Defco, Team Fortress, or Celeste, the games are aesthetically pleasing without requiring beefy hardware and fancy graphical tricks. I guess I was just expecting mostly games that are hideous or are just not wallpaper worthy, like Dwarf Fortress or Deus Ex. Thomas Was Alone. I was really catched from the very beginning. I have never before had such strong feelings for geometric shapes. One of my all-time favorite games. To the Moon. Such an incredible game. The only thing lacking in this game is the graphics and the gameplay itself. It's more of a visual novel. The story is fantastic, and this is the only game OST I have ever bought. If there is anyone out there that hasn't played this and have a few hours to spare, please give this a shot. I could never recommend this game enough to do it justice. Its sequel, Finding Paradise, is my absolute favorite game. I was an emotional train wreck by the time the credits rolled, and I mean that in the best possible way. Of course I loved TTM as well. Oblivion. Hardly anyone talks about the graphics because we're too busy laughing at the NPC dialogue. Stop right there, criminal scum. Resist arrest. Oblivion is forever my favorite game of all time. It was one of the first games I got for the 360, and I played the same save for the better part of a decade, still finding new things to do and see. Cyrodiil was such a great place to get lost in, and something about it just felt so alive. It's something that's weirdly few and far between, and likely because of the complexity, but Elder Scrolls always go for an immersive-ish world. Games like Dark Messiah of Might and Magic really hit that feeling too. It's also a game that strives to give you freedom, and something about that always leads to adventure. I may be a heavily biased fan. Edit. Also shout out to Morrowind for games that defy the graphics. Though I really do prefer the Thastus Guide to revamping the whole thing. Star Wars Battlefront 2, 2005 classic. Watch those wrist rockets. For the Republic. Fallout New Vegas looks really dated by today's standards, but the game is just as fun as it's ever been. Even when it came out, it was a bit ugly. Best game ever. Yeah, I don't think any of the Fallout games, without mods, have ever been considered top tier when it comes to graphics. I feel like the ugliness is part of the charm of those games. Undertale. I have the art book for that game, and there's an interesting section about how the main character's design intentionally looks bad to lower your expectations for the rest of the game. That's a genuinely really cool fact that I'm going to share with people now, thank you. Can confirm, also own the art book. Dwarf Fortress and Ethak are the classics. Crusader Kings 2 is just a map of Europe. Pretty much everything such the YouTube review like Undertale and Neo Scavenger come to mind, are slightly more modern examples. Hey people. Today I'll be reviewing a game in the most hilarious and offensive manner possible. RimWorld, endless possibilities for your floating head and torso colonies. The Simpsons: Hit and Run. I actually replayed it recently because I never finished it as a kid. Besides some rendering issues when you go from one location to another really fast, it hasn't aged terribly IMO. It's just one of those fun games you boot up to mess around in and kick people and steal ice cream trucks in. You're not looking for a masterpiece, it's just chaos. Fun fact, when they showed the game off to Matt Groening, they were given instructions to not make Homer attack Marge because they were worried that knowing you can do that would turn him off from the idea. Matt asked to play, and when he did, the first thing he did was make Homer kick the shit out of Marge and hacky sack her all the way down to the Quickie Mart. FTL, Faster Than Light, Darkest Dungeon, Terraria, Cardinal Quest 2, Mobile Game, Rimmed Racer, Bomber Crew. Wow, people need to play more ID games. Edit, I just looked at my Steam library and have so many more to add. Unturned, Dungeon of the Endless, The Binding of Isaac, Crypt of the Echo Dancer, Realm of the Mad God, Spelunky, Castle Crashers. Got FTL this summer. I had one health bar left on the third phase of the enemy flagship today. I made it to the flagship my third playthrough, got halfway through its second phase the fifth time, and I was really hoping to wrap things up this time. Assuming the unexpected third phase is the last one. But I totally believe there are 6 phases at this point. I'm running an i7 3rd gen with 32 gigs of RAM and a GeForce 1070, so I can play some solid stuff graphically. But it's been my jam much of the summer when I've had time to play such a great game. FTL had been the game I have favored the most over the last years. Got it for $2 in 2014, played it a bit, and then got really into it. Bought 7 copies in total for friends and strangers, bought the soundtrack, and t-shirts. It's the one game I have consistently played since 2014, and currently have 250 hours in it, and not stopping anytime soon. You got some great moments still ahead.